Hi everyone, and welcome back to Scale Studio. Today we're going to be looking at this Trumpeter 1/35th scale Russian T-14 Armata kit. So let's open the box and take a look. Starting off with the lower hull here, you can see that it's molded as one big piece and actually has a lot of good detail on it. It does have a little bit of flash and you can see some of the mold seam lines, but it's not a huge deal since a lot of this is going to be covered in mud and obscured by running gear anyways. And you can see here how absolutely massive the tank is going to be when it's done. The lower hull by itself is over 9 inches long and it makes the striker look absolutely tiny by comparison. Moving on to the turret, it comes in two halves, and the detail actually looks pretty nice. There are some bolts that we're going to need to change out because the angles didn't quite work out on them, but most of the stuff here is going to look great even if you don't decide to replace it. And they also fit together fairly well. There is a little bit of work that needs to be done and some filling, but it's not anything egregious, and I'd say it's a decent fit for the kit and for a trumpeter kit in general. Now starting off with Sprue A here, you can see that it has the two fenders as well as the gun mantlet, hatches, the back plate to the hull itself, more fuel tanks, stuff like that. It's all just kind of the big exterior hull parts. And it all looks pretty nice. There is some flash on some parts, but it's nothing too bad and it's all kind of just normal for a modern kit. It all seems pretty up to standard. A lot of the details on the larger parts, like the straps and stuff, on these fuel tanks are actually going to be replaced with Voyager photo etch. I got a set the other day, and so we're going to be working through that as well. Moving on to Sprue B, we have the slat armor, we have turret components, a lot of the same kind of thing as Sprue A, just mostly smaller stuff, and then I believe we also have the barrel, if not just the brake at the end. But as you can see, the slat armor, it doesn't look terrible, but it is going to be replaced with photo etch because that is supposed to be sheet metal and fairly thin. We've also got antennas and the barrel. We have spare tracks, mud flaps, a bunch of different parts, and a lot of it's actually getting replaced by either 3D printed parts that I'm designing or by photo etch. Sprue C is a lot of the road wheels and running gear components, but other than that, not much to speak of. They look nice. I don't want to have to clean up all the hubcaps, and so I've designed 3D parts that I printed out, and those look actually really nice as a replacement. You can see that the tow hooks are slide molded, so those could be nice if you're building it out of the box. I have a resin replacement, and we have smoke dischargers and the swing arms. Sprue D also has a lot of running gear. It also has tow hooks and some smaller components that get put onto the suspension elements. I don't know what that is. If somebody could let me know, it goes on the lower hull on the front. It might be a bulldozer blade attachment or something, but other than that, nothing too interesting here, just running gear components. And they all look fairly nice like everything else in the kit. I'm actually going to try to CAD a replacement part for the headlight cage there, but I'm not sure how well that's going to work out. We'll see. Then we have Sprue E, which is the upper hull section, which we'll look at separately. We have the side skirts, and then we have a couple smaller components that go on various parts of the tank. But the side skirts look actually very nice. The edges on the rubber part are actually chamfered a little bit so they don't look super thick. We're probably going to thin those down with a file or a Dremel or something like that, but we'll figure that out when we get to it. Now, moving on to the upper hull section here, it's all molded in one big piece, which makes it easier to assemble, but tolerances can be a little tricky. You can see that the front actually has a very light anti-slip texture on it, which is accurate to the tank. We're probably going to be replacing it or just covering it over with some new stuff. But everything else looks nice. All the panel lines are thin and crisply molded. And the vent louvers in the back, they're going to be covered over by screens anyways. Here we have our clear sprue, and you can see that it has periscopes, it has the sight for the commander, it has a smaller lens there, and then it has the two LED strips. Those are going to be replaced by Voyager lights because I don't think those look quite like the real ones. They're close, and if you're just doing it out of the box, it's totally fine, but those are going to be replaced. With the photo etch, we get a couple basic screens for the intakes on the back of the vehicle, and then we also have the shields for the smoke discharger turrets on the main turret. This kit also comes with some vinyl tubing for fuel lines and a piece of copper cable for the tow cable. The decals, they seem okay. I haven't really looked into them too much, but there aren't too many. It's just the logos for the Mayday Parade tank, and I want to keep them in the bag so they don't get damaged. The instructions look well printed and clear. I've gone through a couple of them because I've started on the running gear, but not too far into it. I haven't seen any major issues yet. But you can see they look nice, and there's not really much to say about them, so I'm just going to flip through it kind of without talking too much about it. And if you don't want to see the instructions in full, you can skip ahead to this timestamp here. The tracks in this kit aren't great. They're individual link, and there are 4 sprues of tracks. They all have 4 connection points on each track, and then another 2 for the guide horns that you have to attach separately. I'm personally not going to be building them. I designed replacement tracks and then 3D printed them, so we're going to be using those instead. And you can see here, these are the tracks that I designed. They're fully workable with resin pins, and they work great. They are scale accurate, and they fit on the drive sprocket. I am really happy with the way these turned out, and we're going to see more of them as I paint them and weather them later down the road. If you want the files for yourself, they're going to be available on my Patreon page for free for upper tiers of Patreons, and then also I'm probably going to post them to Colts 3D for individual purchase. Now, doing a quick fit test on the upper and lower halves of the hull, you can see that it actually fits together pretty well. The hull is warped in a little bit, so it holds really tightly to the upper hull section. That should be fine so long as it doesn't deform anything too badly and cause the fenders to have problems. We will see during the build though if that is an issue. Unfortunately, however, we are out of time for today. Thank you so much to my Patreons and my YouTube members. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe, because I'm going to be trying to release videos more regularly coming up here soon, and we've got more on the T-14 coming. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time.